Bro, I tried every single diet, okay? Carnivore, keto, animal-based diet, vegetarian diet, flexible dining, if it fits your macros. And I'm gonna tell you, all of it is fucking bullshit, okay? Now I'm gonna tell you exactly what diet is helping me get lean effortlessly and why it's helping me get lean so you don't cope and give up before you fucking start, okay? So the diet I'm following right now is something I call the non-stimulating carb protein fat diet. Now, I know that's a lot, but it's something that I just coined right now that nobody else is doing, which is going to help you a lot because it's helping me. Okay, so what I mean by this is to eat foods that are not stimulating. Okay, so you know the animal based diet is pretty popular right now. People are telling you to eat meat, eggs, which is great, but then they're also telling you to eat fruits, you know, a little bit of vegetables, you know, things like avocado, and also, you know, you can also have nuts and stuff like that, right? Now, the problem with that is when you're getting lean, you can't be eating food that stimulate you a lot. And even fruits have a lot of, you know, they have fructose, they have things in them that kind of make you a little addicted to them. Now, I don't know about you, but when I eat like watermelon, when I eat anything like bananas, it kind of just, you don't just stop with like 1, 2 bananas. You don't just stop with like half a watermelon or a quarter of a watermelon. You just kind of want more. And now you're also craving other foods that also contain sugar, like the unhealthy foods, like cookies and, you know, cakes and stuff like that. So what I do in my diet is foods that are really not that exciting, right? So if you have like a tortilla or you have things like, you know, rice, you know, that's like non-stimulating carb foods, right? And then when you have things like protein, non-stimulating protein foods. So don't have like a protein bar, like a protein scoop of, you know, whey protein. Have something like, you know, chicken, right? Like chicken breast. And then, you know, for my fat source, I just have like eggs. Now, eggs are also, you know, a protein source, but, you know, they're a healthy fat source as well. But, you know, people will say like, hey, you can have nuts for a fat source because, you know, it's valid, right? Nuts are pretty much a fat source. So you can have cashews and almonds. But the problem with those is, first of all, they're not satisfying because you can only have so much when you're cutting, right? If you ever try to actually have nuts in your diet while you're losing fat, you're gonna realize you're not gonna have much. Like 50 grams or 100 grams is really not that much. You're gonna have like a handful, like what, like 30 almonds, 40 cashews. Like it's not enough, right? And I also told you the problem when it comes to fruits. Like it's going to cause you to want to eat the unhealthy sugar foods as well because they both have sugar, right? So what I recommend is to basically only pick 3 foods that you're going to stick with, right? A carb source, a protein source, and a fat source. And don't choose like the bullshit addicting foods, okay? So choose like the whole food sources. Okay. Now, if it has like 1 or 2 ingredients, like for example, I eat a thing right now called a chapati. So it's in South Asian culture and Indian culture. It's essentially a tortilla, but it's a whole wheat version of it. So if you're gonna eat a carb source, try to eat a whole wheat version. So a whole wheat spaghetti maybe, or a whole wheat pasta, or a whole wheat chapati, or whole wheat roti. I don't even think there's a whole wheat roti. So roti is a different thing, but essentially eat a whole wheat version of a carb source. Okay, and then when it comes to protein, choose like a lean protein source. Okay, so don't, people will tell you to eat a fatty meat, but the problem when it comes to fatty meat is they have like fatty bits in it, so it's hard to basically measure how many calories you're getting. So when you get a lean protein source, like a chicken breast, for example, there's no fatty bits. Like if you ever see the meat, you'll see what I'm actually trying to say. There's like yellow bits in it when you have like chicken thighs or if you have like ribeye steak or whatever. There's like certain bits that it's hard to actually measure because some cuts have a little bit more fat, some cuts have a little less fat. But when you have like the lean version, it's like pure exact calories. So if you have something like, you know, 93.7 beef, like 93% lean, 7% fat, or 95% lean, 5% fat, or if you have like chicken breast, it's very easy to know that, okay, it's this many calories, right? Like for example, if you have a chicken breast and you have 112 grams of chicken breast, which is like a serving, that's like 140 calories, and I know that. But when it comes to chicken thigh, you know, they say it's 160 calories for 112 grams, right? But that depends on if you like trim the fat or if, you know, if there's sometimes a little bit more fat hidden somewhere. Like it kind of varies. So sometimes you might be having 180 calories for 112 grams. Sometimes it might even be like 150 calories. And then it's hard to like gauge and measure. So if you're anything like me, you want consistency. You want to actually know the exact amount you're getting every single time. So choose a lean source for the protein, okay? And when it comes to fat, people will tell you avocado, but if I'm being honest with you, man, like vegetables they just suck. Like they're not tasty to me. Like, yeah, you could have avocados. I mean, if you want avocado, that's fine, but you just won't get as satisfied compared to like if you have a fat source that's also a protein source. So avocados, they're not really a protein source, okay? They're a good fat source, but if you have things like eggs, right? They have an equal amount of fat and an equal amount of protein. So it's like 5 grams of fat and like 6 grams of protein. Or you could do something like cheese, right? If you want to put cheese on your chicken, that's a good source of fat and protein. I believe it's like 100 grams is like 280 calories, and I think there's 20 grams of protein, and you also get like about like 20 grams of fat or like 10 grams of fat. It's like a good mix of fat and protein. So you'll feel more satiated, like more full, and you'll also just feel more, you'll just enjoy it more. So that's why I say like cut out like the fruits, cut out like the vegetables, cut out the nuts as well. Now, when you're like lean bulking, and let's just say once you've cut the fat and you want to like, you want to build some muscle after you got down to like single digit body fat percentage, yeah, then you can obviously, if you want, you can include some nuts. If you want some vegetables and stuff, it makes sense. But you have to be so careful with the calories that you're consuming, because you can only consume so much, right? People will cope and tell you that, oh, you can eat like 2,500 calories, 2,000 calories if you want to, lose weight. But if you want to lose fat, you want to lose weight and fat, you have to basically, you can eat 2,000 calories depending on your weight, but it has to be very low, like 1,800, 1,900, maybe 2,000 calories depending on your weight, right? But you're not going to lose fat if you're like eating 2,500, 3,000 calories, or God forbid, like, you think you can burn off all the calories through like running or some shit like that. It's just gonna make you more hungry, okay? So all this to say that when it comes to dieting, don't follow any kind of diet that basically just puts you in a corner, right? Like, okay, carnivore, only eat meat. Okay, vegetarian, only eat vegetables. Because when you do that, you're actually restricting a lot of micronutrients and like antioxidants, and you're missing out on all this like stuff like fiber and things like that. And when you include all of these vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and all this stuff, you basically are going to feel more better. So like that craving you get when you want to eat some junk food, it's because when you eat like a non-whole food source, like a protein bar, right? You're thinking, okay, I'm being healthy, right? But you eating that is going to stimulate the craving for the non-healthy food. Okay, let me tell you why. So when you eat something like a protein bar, yeah, it's healthy, right? Because it's like a protein bar and it's getting protein, nice, right? But the protein bar also has like the sugar that comes with it, like the additives that come with it, right? But you don't notice that. And then when you crave like a brownie, when you crave like ice cream, you crave that because it also has the sugar and additives that the protein bar has. You see, because whatever you eat, you're gonna crave more of, right? So if you crave even fruit, right? If you eat fruit regularly, you're gonna crave the sugar that comes in that fruit. So especially when you're on a cut, you're gonna crave more watermelon, more bananas, and also more brownies. So even if you indulge in the watermelon and bananas, you still can get fat from that, because if you're anything like me, you're going to eat until you're full, and you can overeat on fruit. I don't care what people say, you can absolutely overeat on fruit. Now it's kind of hard to overeat on meat as well, but if you cook meat like really good, like how like Asian cultures do, you could overeat on that as well. So you have to really, really like track everything. Okay, so get a food scale and just weigh out the food. Okay, don't think like, oh, well, if I just eat meat, then it's hard to overeat meat. I'm telling you, you can overeat meat, because you probably eat like a retard, right? And hey, I've done that too. I've ate like a retard as well. Like I just ate until I'm past the feeling of full, because we honestly, all of us are pretty much like traumatized, man. Like when it comes to food, if you're not lean, if you're not shredded, if you're not actually in the best shape that you want to be in, you've been like traumatized to some degree. Like you eat to the point where you're full, but you still want to eat because of other reasons, right? You feel like it's a sense of comfort. You feel like, oh, I'm stressed, so I'm going to use this to relieve stress. Your relationship with food is not good. So, that's how I am as well. So I had to actually learn to control my relationship with food. So I have to weigh out the food and just use it as a source of fuel. So stop with all this intuitive eating, all this flexible dieting shit. Get the scale, weigh it out, and just eat like mostly whole food, non-stimulating foods. Okay? If it's stimulating, don't fucking eat it. It should just be like, okay, I eat it, I feel satisfied, I feel okay, but it shouldn't be like insanely stimulating, like sauces or seasonings are fine, but like any kind of sauces, right? Cut that shit out. Cut all that shit out because you got to be meticulous. Got to really, really lock in when you're cutting weight, and it's only going to be like what, like 3 months, right? Only 3 months. Now, if you have a lot of fat to lose, maybe 4 months, but really it only takes like 3 months to get in shape. And then after that, you can include all the other shit. If you want, you could have the sauces after, because then you're allowed to have higher calories when you're like lean bulking, and you can go from something like 1,800 calories to like 2,300, 2,400 calories. Okay, so then you can include all the other stuff that you want to eat. So just be a little patient, just like 3 months, okay? That's like the hardest part. And then after that, everything else is going to be easy. So just write down on a piece of paper when you started the diet and just do it for 3 months. And then everything after that, you can live the life you want. You can eat the stuff you want to eat. Okay, so just do that diet that I said. It's called a non-stimulating carb, protein, fat diet. Okay, and it's mostly going to come from whole foods. So that's what's really helping me get lean. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And I hope you got value from that. And if that helped you, click the like, subscribe button. And I'm going to be basically documenting my whole journey to getting shredded. By the time it's like August or maybe September 2025, I'll be like actually shredded, and you can actually see my body and like be shredded. So if you want to basically see my journey and see what I'm like teaching as I'm learning, just click the like and subscribe button, and that's all for me. And I hope you have a good day.